My father grounded me for 2 months for making up words. The word was vast. Let me first say I'm adopted. My parents adopted me when I was 3 months old in the family pawn shop. I'm in midlife now. Pawn shops were a thing when I was a kid. My adopted father owned the pawn shop, and when my biological aunt came into shop he made a comment about me being a cute baby. My bio aunt replied, "You want her? CPS is coming to take her." He and my adopted mother adopted me, and the rest is history. My father has done some seriously questionable stuff over the years. I remember being 8 and him confiding in me that he felt brushed off by my mom, so he was going to find a new woman. I also remember being 7-8 and asking my parents when we were going to leave to get ice cream. They were laying in bed in the middle of the day. My father replied, "We're not getting ice cream. We're taking you back to the orphanage to get a better little girl." I cried so hard at that, but those things taught me at a young age that I was replaceable. My mom was the controlling matriarch. As a little girl, my mother ran a daycare at home. When my dad's pawn shop failed to pay the bills, I think I was 7-8, she got a corporate job at a bank working in finance. We got a bigger house because she brought in more than the pawn shop. Around 9-10 they put me to work in the pawn shop after school, and on weekends I rode my bike to the store. My father encouraged me to lie to customers in order to create a relationship or solicit more money. I hated it. I chose to stay in the back area of the pawn shop and play video games, read, or listen tapes and CDs. He often made me stop to clean or come out and help customers. When my father's pawn shop ultimately failed and he had to sell it, he took several years off from working. During this time I remember him mostly laying on the sofa eating any junk he could find and watching reruns of Hogan's Heroes. I think this was my first experience with a depressed adult. Because he was unemployed, my mom tasked him with getting me to school in the morning, middle school. I was just starting to be a rebellious teenager, 13-15. If for any reason I forgot to tell him I loved him when exiting the car, he'd cry out to me before leaving, "You better tell me you love me. I might kill myself while you're at school." For a little while I did live in fear of finding my father dead upon arriving home. I don't know exactly what happened, but over time I stopped caring. During these years he got up to 400 pounds. After school sometimes I'd be exhausted, so I'd take a nap. One day he approached me and asked who Ricky was. I was astonished he knew about my boyfriend Ricky at school, because I had never told my parents. Another afternoon he asked about a book report I'd been working on. Again I was in disbelief, because I hadn't told them I'd been working on it. I read him the book report that began something like, "In this vast world," and he stopped me saying, "You can't do that. You can't make up words." I asked him what he meant, and he said vast was a made-up word. I tried to tell him it wasn't and to look it up in a dictionary. I was grounded for 2 months for making up words and lying. I was 14. This was not the first or last time I was grounded for something insane. I also later discovered when I would nap he was going through my backpack, reading my notes we passed in class, and going through everything. I guess today that's like going through someone's phone. When I was around 16 I stopped saying grace at family dinner. He asked me why. I told him I felt it was disrespectful because I didn't believe in God. Again I was grounded, but this time I was also added to a Christian email list. Tired of the emails, I replied to all on one explaining why I believed God didn't exist. A day later he came into my room with a large kitchen knife in his hand. "You want to kill me?" he said. I asked him to put down the knife. He forced the knife into my hands, clasped his hands over mine and started making stabbing motions at himself, saying, "Just kill me." I cried and begged him to stop. I was eventually able to drop the knife, so he picked it up and marched out of my room. When I got a job I didn't have a bank account yet. I was 14-15, so I kept my money in my room. Several times I'd come home and my money would be gone. I changed where I hid it. I caught him searching for it and demanding to know where it was. I rode my bike up to a hardware store and purchased a key lock. I installed it on my bedroom door. One evening I locked myself out of my room. I had an indoor balcony, so I grabbed a ladder, set it against the balcony and started climbing. My mother asked what the hell I was doing, so I explained the lock but not why I had installed it. I was grounded because they refused to believe I could install the lock on my own and must have let boys in the house. Oh man, the list seriously goes on, but this is getting long. I guess I could mention the time my mom tried to break my finger in a door frame because I'd flicked a teacher off at school, or the time my mom made me sit outside in the winter with barely any clothes on for hours as a punishment. I'll say that because of my parents' dynamic I ended up in an abusive 15-year marriage that I have been out of for 6 years now. It took a lot to get where I am today, but I'm the happiest I've ever been now. I don't talk to my father. My mother has grown a little as a person and we're mending our relationship. If you enjoyed that one, subscribe for a new story every single day.